Hello, Otafest listeners. We are so excited to be here. It's me, Nancy, and Angelo.
Hello,
and today
hello.
we have a very special episode for you because, quick, Jay's not here, so let's talk.
Yes.
But first, we have announcements. We are so excited to announce that voice actor Erica Mendez will be joining us at Otafest 2023! She has lent her voice to an impressive list of fan-favorite characters, including Retsuko in Agretsuko, Ryuko in Kill la Kill, and Gon in Hunter x Hunter. Not only that, but she has also worked on video games like Genshin Impact, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Scarlet Nexus, and has even done script adaptation work for anime series like The Promised Neverland and Sailor Moon.
And Otafest, showing love to itty-bitty giant robots everywhere. Enter our Gunpla showcase at otafest.com/gunpla for a chance to win some awesome prizes. Yeah. We're excited to announce that Lucian Dodge will be joining us at Otafest 2023 with an impressive career spanning animation, video games, commercials, and more. Lucian is known for his incredible range and versatility as a voice actor. You may recognize him as Zoisite and Motoki Furuhata in the Sailor Moon series, Waver Velvet in Fate Zero, and Jafar in Magi, The Labyrinth of Magic, among many other iconic roles. Get your tickets today at otafest.com.
Woo! Oh my gosh, we've had so many good guest announcements this week.
We do. I'm excited. We're getting the hype. We're getting the guests. We're getting everybody.
It is the end of March, which means you only have roughly a month-ish to get everything ready for Otafest.
Oh, yeah.
So start planning everything now.
And just a reminder, Saturday, you can't get tickets at the door. You gotta get them online.
Mm-hmm.
Get your tickets now. Do it.
Yeah, you can't do that thing where you used to just show up on the Saturday of Otafest and go, yeah, I'd like to go to Otafest today, because you will not be able to do that. So please, please, please plan ahead.
Yes. So, like Nancy said, Jay's not here. There's nobody to stop us. We can talk all the techno babble that we want to this week.
Immense Nerdge, begin now.
Yes. So, wasting no time, I've been having computer problems lately. I've been having big computer problems lately, and my dear listeners, I'm here to rant about them to you. Because it is for you, my dear listener, that I'm going through such pain.
Indeed. Indeed you are,
So,
literally.
I don't know why. I haven't figured out why yet. But it's been a solid 8 months where my recording setup hasn't actually worked properly. I don't know why, but I know what is kind of happening to cause it. So when you're recording, most PCs, when they're doing their thing, they record at 44.1 kilohertz. That means that every second they are taking 44,000 readings of what your voice is doing.
That is correct.
And for like just a Discord call, chatting in a video game, that's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But we care for your ears, dear listener. We want you to have the best experience possible. So we record at 48 kilohertz. That is 3,900 samples per second more.
Good mathing.
And my system hates that. I don't know why. So it's most obvious for me when I'm streaming. When I'm using OBS, if I have my system set to 48 kilohertz, it gets chunky, it gets chirpy, it gets clicky. It is the most annoying thing to listen to. And I could hear it. For some reason, it interferes with the desktop audio.
Oh, that's
like
complicated.
It's so weird. And I thought that this clearly must be an issue with Windows.
Obviously.
I've actually gone through many troubleshooting steps at this point. At first, I thought my audio board must be damaged. I replaced my audio board, admittedly with a lower end one. I have a very nice Mackie board that is a smaller version of what Jay and Alfred used to use to record the podcast eons ago.
Eons ago when we used to do things in the same room together.
Yeah, exactly. And so I replaced it with a very popular little audio interface called a Scarlett Solo.
Mm-hmm. Very
and
popular.
I was actually very happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
But then that same chirping behavior happened, and I was like, well, I just spent $160 or $170 for no reason. So I returned it.
Yeah, unfortunate. It is a very nice little interface, and it's so mobile because you can just pick it up and take it somewhere.
That's what I really liked about it. The only complaint that I actually had with that audio interface was that if you plug your headphones into it, the dial that controls your microphone gain also controls the headphone volume.
There is a separate knob for that.
Maybe.
At least I think there is.
But the one that I
Mine
had
has a separate knob for it.
didn't allow that option. It didn't work. But I don't know. I only had it for about a week.
I mean, totally
fair. And that
fair.
was like 4 or 5 months ago.
Totally fair. Anyway, that aside, what was your next step in troubleshooting?
My next step was just dealing with it. And that got annoying.
Just deal with it.
Let me tell you, you can just deal with something painful or annoying for a very long time, but eventually on some idle Tuesday, you get so annoyed with it that you feel like you want to change it. And so I decided clearly, if this was happening with 2 different audio interfaces, this is a Windows problem.
Must be. Absolutely.
Must be.
Also, as a fellow human, I can absolutely understand the whole, I can deal with this for a while.
Yeah.
And then one day you just snap.
You just snap. You're like, this is shit. This is ruining
unacceptable.
my life. This is the bane of my existence. And so I went to the System 32 folder and I pressed the delete button.
You did what?
No, I didn't do that.
Okay.
I did it the right way. I downloaded the little thing from Microsoft. I burned it to a USB drive. I plugged the USB into the computer and button mashed F12 on startup. And then I reinstalled Windows the regular way. But it's more fun to say that I deleted System 32.
Yeah. I mean, at some point in the history of Windows, that was the fastest way to get something done.
Yes.
Because I can't remember which version of it was, but if it detected things that were missing, like DLL-wise in System 32, it would try and reinstall it for you.
That sounds horrifying.
Yeah, like at some point, I swear, like if it went, oh, there's a missing DLL in this folder, I'll just reinstall it. It was like the fastest way, basically, to reinstall or reset drivers that had gone badly for you. Obviously, you don't want to do all of them all at once, but it was something that actually happened. I'm pretty sure I remember doing something like that with a really old PC at some point.
That must have been like Windows 3.1 or Windows 95 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Because I uniquely remember that behavior in Windows XP would kill your system.
Yes. Probably.
Probably.
Most likely. Anyway, so you formatted your entire PC.
Yes. And I don't regret that. Honestly, there's been a lot of crusty buildup over the years in the operating system in Windows that it's nice to have a nice, clean starting point.
Mm-hmm.
And it fixed nothing for me.
I was gonna say, they do recommend that you do that occasionally. Just clean out all the old junk that builds up over time.
Back when I was in college, I was doing so much bullshit with my PC that I'd be reinstalling Windows every 2 weeks.
Oof.
It was fun for me back then.
Hey, to be fair, during COVID, I reinstalled Windows on my gaming laptop 5 times? 6 times? Due to all the times I had to bring it back for RMA.
Oh my god.
So, you remember that story.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
I did actually also recently have to do like a driver reset, so I'll get into that after Angelo finishes his tale of harrowing woe.
So at this point, it's not the audio interface. It's not the thing that I plug my microphone into.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the software running on my PC. It shouldn't be my PC. But let's just check, because that's...
Just in case.
I feel like that's easier than replacing my microphone. No, it's not. I feel like that's more likely to be the problem over my microphone. So, I had some old computer parts lying around. And I was thinking, all I need to make these parts useful is a case, a box to put them in, and a cooler so that they don't go thermonuclear on my bedroom floor.
So they don't melt your other parts together.
And while I was doing this, I was like, I also have a bunch of old hard drives around. I could turn it into a good network storage system. I could put all my files on there. My desktop PC is getting kind of full. I've only got 1 terabyte of space left. Imagine saying that 15 years ago. I only have 1 terabyte of space left. This is a problem.
Do you remember when movies were like under a gigabyte?
When they were 700 megabytes, specifically so you could burn them to a CD. Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oof.
That laptop that I was talking about in college that I would be reinstalling Windows on every 2 weeks, it was only 80 gigabytes.
Ooh, only.
And that was fine. I was happy with that.
I think back then 80 gigs was pretty luxurious.
It was a little bit Spartan at the time that I had the laptop.
Really? Wow.
At that point, 300 gigs was more of the norm.
That's true, I guess.
So, I buy these parts. I build the PC. I take a step back and look at my work, and I'm like, holy moly. That's a pretty computer right there. It is. That looks better than my actual PC. I got this nice white case with a wood grain accent.
Ooh.
It has a tempered glass side.
Ooh.
I got a big air cooler. That air cooler actually keeps that processor, the CPU, cooler than my water cooling loop that I used to use with it did.
Interesting. That sounds
It's
like it
good.
almost fits in like a modern and Nordic, home. It's got that Nordic aesthetic to it.
It does. It really does. And so, my plan is that I'm going to put Linux on there because it's free. I don't have to pay for another Windows license. And Linux will be good for the network storage problem. And so I build it, I install Linux, which was its own thing. I'm not going to bore you with the technobabble of that. But then I set up my network storage. It's flawless. It's so good. Holy moly. I can hear the garbage hard drives clicking away. They shouldn't be clicking, but they're server hard drives, so they do that.
Your little zombie drives.
And then I decide, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try using this as a recording station.
Yeah.
I figure this should be easy. I plug the USB cable from my sound interface to this PC, and I go in and try searching to see if I can change the settings, the recording settings, because it's probably going to be at that 44.1 kilohertz setting, and I want it at the 48 kilohertz setting. So I go in, I look it up, and it seems weird. So this being a little bit of an advanced board, it's got a few different inputs and a few different outputs that it shows up as.
Okay.
Even in Windows. So it's like 2 different inputs in Windows, 2 different outputs in Windows, so I have to be careful which one I'm choosing.
Right.
In Linux, it showed up as 6 for each one.
Ooh.
But only in Audacity.
Oh?
On top of that, I had to go into like the permissions of each application and make sure that Audacity could even see it in the first place. Audacity couldn't see it in the first place. And I was like, what's going on here? And then I had to click through each one to find which recording channel was actually the one that I wanted. Okay, great. So how do I change it to 48 kilohertz? In Audacity, there's a little checkbox, but that just tells Audacity what to expect. That doesn't say anything about what Linux is going to send to Audacity.
Okay.
So I do the Googling, as any Linux user must.
Indeed.
The only way in modern Linux that uses a system called Pulse Audio is you have to edit a text file. Now, any Linux user would think, oh, editing a text file. That's the normal course of action. It is
That sounds
legitimately
pretty normal, actually.
This is my problem with Linux, is that you have to be a computer enthusiast to really use it.
Mm-hmm.
To do anything more than just web browsing, you've got to be a goddamn nerd. A lot of nerds will say, oh, Linux is perfectly usable for my grandpa. Yeah, because your grandma and grandpa just go to Facebook. But as soon as they want to do something like their taxes, they're fucked. And in my case, well, sure, I can edit a text file, but why should I have to? And if I want to do a lot of troubleshooting, do I really want to go, okay, edit this text file. Oh, make sure that I copy the old text file just in case I make a typo. And by the way, now that I've edited the text file, I have to either reboot the PC or I have to kill the process. Ooh. I have to make sure that it changes. So, I do all that. I set it up. And then there's something weird that I notice. Both audio channels are working on the PC, but for whatever reason, the left audio channel is way louder, like 4 or 5 times louder.
Weird.
To the point where it's nauseating to even use that. And this was me 30 minutes ago, realizing this. And I was like, you know what? I can't use the PC for this recording session at least. It needs more troubleshooting. So I'm basically a week into this project trying to just set up this PC just to be able to record. And I'm finding more issues with it.
That's always been the trouble with open sourced things. Typically, you pull at one thread and it pulls 4 or 5 more along with it. And then you try and address those 4 or 5 things. And those also come with their own 4 or 5 things.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's an amazing clip from Malcolm in the Middle where Hal, Bryan Cranston, tries to turn on a light, but the light bulb is burnt out. He goes to open a drawer to get the light bulbs. The drawer is squeaky. So he goes to get the WD-40 to grease the drawer. The can is empty, but the shelf it's on is loose. So he gets the nails, but he's out of nails. So he goes to the car to get the stuff to fix all the other things, and the car doesn't start, so he pulls the motor out of the car. And then Lois comes in, and he's like, Hal, the light's burnt out. Can you replace it? And he just looks at her from under the car, and he says, what do you think I'm doing? That is what using Linux is like. You need to pull the engine of the car so that you can go to the store so that you can buy the stuff to fix the other 5 things so that you can replace your light bulb.
Yeah. Yeah, that's extremely close. I somehow thankfully avoided all of that this week. So this week, while I was playing Genshin Impact, I realized that my keyboard was doing this funny thing where it just wouldn't take keyboard input for a second. And it would happen intermittently. I would just be playing, it would load a new scene, and then I would be trying to hit W to move forward, and it just doesn't do anything for a second, and then it kicks in.
Oh.
And you're like, that's weird. And then I started noticing it was doing it whenever I was alt-tabbing, because I alt-tab back and forth to Discord all the time, chat with my friends, right? And then I started noticing that, yeah, this also happens while I'm typing an email. There is definitely something wrong with the whole keyboard.
No.
Not just the WASD keys like it was on my last computer. No. My last computer, it was because WASD sat immediately on top of where the CPU chip is, and that poor sucker was pinned at 94, 96 degrees all the time. And so it actually loosened the electronic couplings, the links between the switches and the thing that interprets said actuations. So that was a different laptop. This is a completely new laptop as of December.
Oh my god.
This shouldn't be happening. Okay. First things first. Nancy's brain goes into panic security mode. I have a keylogger. How the hell did I get one of those? And you think about it and you're like, well, I haven't done anything weird anytime recently. Like, I haven't gone to a website that I haven't been going to regularly for a while. Like, I haven't been going to anything new. And if I do, usually it's in like a Firefox incognito browser, so it's fine. What is it?
I should interject here. Incognito browsers or incognito tabs are not good for virus security.
Yes, unless you have a sandboxed one.
Okay.
If you have a sandboxed browser, it's, that's safe. The sandbox is compromised, but not the rest of your computer. So you're like, okay, whatever. What is it? I don't know. I'm really freaked out, though. Do the usual thing. Check for all updates, da-da-da-da-da. The only thing that I can remember updating this week was the new patch for Genshin. But it's still doing it when I'm not running Genshin. It happens all over the place, anywhere where keyboard input's required. Okay, next step. Plug in a regular keyboard and see if it's still doing it. It is not. Ooh.
Oh, that's hardware.
Reset the driver. Done. Fixed it. It was perfect.
Oh my god.
This is the rare case where, like, your second or third thing that you tried fixed it.
Nice.
And it's really rare, especially when you consider, if you summarize all of Angelo's woes about audio interface recording, this is the other end of that spectrum. You actually solved a problem within the first 2-3 steps.
Did you try to turn it off and on again?
Yeah, it was consistent.
Okay, good.
It was consistent between reboots. So it was clearly something else going on. So thank goodness. This is the one time where resetting drivers actually did something.
That's something that I've noticed on like gamer laptops.
Yeah?
The keyboards have drivers.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they have RGB lights in them.
That should only affect the RGB, not the typing.
I know.
Jeez.
I know that. I know that. And you know that. I'm not the one who wrote the firmware.
But
who knows?
Thinking back on that, I too would worry about like a keylogger or something like that.
Yeah.
You know who never worried about that? Mr. Linus Sebastian of Linus Tech Tips.
Yes.
They had a really bad week.
They did. They had one of the worst weeks they've ever had, I think.
So, Linus Tech Tips is probably the most popular tech news and tech stuff on YouTube. They had a really bad week where somebody on their team just clicked the wrong file.
Ooh, no, not totally true, but, did open a file that was emailed to them.
Yes.
It looked legit.
It looked legit. And after that, everything went to hell. So, eons ago, there were these things called keyloggers where when you type, it sends everything you type to somebody else. And then they're like, oh, ha, ha, I got your password. I can log in now. And since that became so popular, every big company started coming out with something called two-factor authentication. So if you tried typing in your password, they're like, but is it really you? Let me text you something, or let me email you a code, or let me get another code from another app on your phone. And that is super secure. It is so secure that the password to Gabe Newell's Steam account is known and out there on the internet.
And I don't think he's ever going to bother changing it.
No. Honestly, I've never changed my Steam password either.
That's fair.
But what's crazy is the way that Linus Tech Tips got hacked bypasses the passwords completely.
Entirely.
So have you ever noticed how when you go to like Facebook or Instagram or even like Twitter or YouTube,
or your
they
email,
always log you back in? Always. They want it to be so easy for you to use it. They want it to be so easy for you to come back that you are always logged back in when you go there. What happens is your browser keeps something called a session variable. a little code that tells the server on the back end, this is me. I was here like 5 hours ago or a day ago. Remember me?
Yeah.
And so the malware that Linus Tech Tips got, it hijacked that session so that they could change anything they wanted. No passwords, no two-factor authentication. That is crazy.
Yeah. So, okay, so someone basically got in, started live streaming a video of Elon Musk espousing some kind of cryptocurrency.
Yes.
And trying to scam people into clicking on the link. And because it was, streaming on a channel like Linus Tech Tips,
it seems
it
legit.
looks legit. It looks kind of legit. If you weren't someone who had been paying a lot of attention to things Linus has said in the news recently, or any of his other groups of content creator channels saying things, you'd be like, Elon Musk is on LTT. That
Weird.
looks pretty sus. But if you didn't know better, you might have thought it was real.
Like, you might think, oh, Elon Musk, he's a big tech guy. Obviously, he would be on the Linus Tech Tips channel.
And telling me to click here for some crypto.
And the stream itself wasn't the scam. The scam was down in the description where they're like, hey, if you send us 1 Bitcoin to this address, we'll send you 2 Bitcoin back.
Yes.
Pro tip.
Like, that always sounds too good to be true, right?
Pro tip. Bernie Madoff, the biggest Ponzi scheme in history, promised 8 or 9% returns or something like that. And that was unbelievably huge. 100% returns are always a scam. Always.
Yeah.
If someone is saying they'll double your money, they will take all of your money and double their own.
Yeah. That is too unrealistic.
Yes.
They will have gone to 100% of your money from their 0%.
What was crazy was that once it happened, they almost had no idea how to undo everything.
They kept trying to lock him out, right? Like, they revoked his stream key. They ended up getting their entire channel deleted.
Yes. YouTube came in clutch and restored everything.
Yeah.
But even they were like, we don't know what's going on. We don't know how this is happening. Something's going on.
So sometimes, not always, there are usually login or privacy security settings somewhere that says log out all other sessions. That's probably the button you want to be hitting. But not all services offer that.
Exactly. Not all services offer that. I remember back when I used my Crunchyroll account, they actually have somewhere in their menus a menu that says all the devices you've logged in on.
Yes, yes.
And there was, at one point in time, a Crunchyroll got hacked and the passwords and everything got leaked. And so I'm in my Crunchyroll account one day and I see an iPod Touch in the list of devices.
Oh, that does not sound like you at all.
I do not buy Apple products.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting there looking at that and
No.
Log out that device. Time to change password. Oh no.
Yeah. Woof.
Oh no.
Big woof.
So
Yikes.
this is something that can happen to anybody. What happened to LTT, that absolutely can happen to anyone. So just be careful out there, but when it happens to someone big like that, that is just crazy.
Well, yeah, because, it's a really big reminder that it can happen to you. You don't even have to be like a huge content creator to be the target of something like this. If they can take over any part of your digital identity for their own gain, they will.
Oh, yeah. On the plus side, every time I've gone to my bank's website, I'm always logged out.
That is...
That's good.
That is very
good. They
good.
make it super annoying to use their website, and good job.
So does the CRA, and that's also a good thing.
Oh my god.
Every time I try to, get in For example, it's tax season. I go in for my parents, and my parents watch me, trying to log in on their computer so I can show them how to do it. And they're like, "But that's so annoying." I'm like, "Yes, it's on purpose. It's so people can't log in as you and do horrible things with your identity as a Canadian citizen."
It used to be 10 times worse. So now the CRA has a system where you can actually use your bank account to log into the CRA.
Yes.
And thank God for that, because before they had that system, if you forgot your password, the process
like a 2-week
of
process.
resetting the password was them mailing you a code. Snail mail, not email. They mail a code to your last address they had on file on real paper.
Yeah.
What?
It was like a 2-week process. Sometimes it involved being on the phone with an actual CRA agent. It was.
Oh, it did.
It was a long, long recovery process if you ever forgot your password. But thankfully, a lot easier. Again, like being able to log in with your bank, at least, your bank is a usually trustworthy source of identity confirmation.
And not only that, you probably use your bank more than once a year, so you actually remember the password.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
Please use a password manager. If you don't use a password manager, please do.
Haha.
Please don't write down your passwords in a notebook somewhere, please. This week, so LTT got to talk about what happened this whole week. Props to them. They released a video right away to talk about what happened. Like, Linus basically went through the entire series of events, and then he went online for his weekly news and chat show. And guess what? He had 2 very special guests. And those 2 very special guests, if you're in Calgary and you're into photography at all, you would recognize them because they used to work for the camera store. They did a lot of camera reviews for them on their YouTube channel, and then they moved to dpreview.com. And the big news that I found out and was super surprised by, dpreview.com, it is going away. April 10th is the day it's going to be shut down. All of it is evaporating. If you've ever participated in the community, if you've ever used any of their camera comparison tools, anything like that, it's all gone. They're not even going to keep the website up and, keep the old material available. That's like 25 years of journalism that is evaporating on the 10th of April. And it upsets me because journalism is already on such precarious footing. And the other thing that just absolutely blows me away. Did you know Amazon owned them? Because I didn't. At no point was it apparent to me that Amazon had bought dpreview.com. Back in 2007, they have been operating this entire time really without any input from their parent company other than maybe bankrolling.
I blame Jeff Bezos for this.
So I suspect a lot of the layoffs that have been happening in the tech industry, this is part of it. This is part of the downsizing efforts. So apparently, according to the 2 the 2 hosts that are often seen on dpreview.com's YouTube channel, according to them, it was a running joke that one day Amazon was going to notice that they owned them and was going to actually do something with them. But until then, they were going to just keep running the way that they've always been running. They just had a parent company now. And I think that with all of the layoffs that have been happening at Amazon, across their warehouses, across their AWS tech side, all that stuff, I think this is finally when someone looked at the books and said, who the heck is dpreview.com and why do we pay their bills? Chuck it. And I'm just so mad. A bunch of people actually reached out to Linus and said, can you do something about this? This is 25 years of unbiased photography and video journalism that's just going away. They had some of the most reliable discourse around whenever anybody came out with a new device, or, they had these super educational articles on different video encoding. And I learned so much from them in the 25 years that they've been around. And I always went back to them time and time again. They helped me buy my last camera. I'm just so upset about this. And it's just going to go away. That's it. No one is going to be able to save this. Linus actually looked at it and was like, I can't buy this. Like, even if I was somehow able to get Uncle Jeffy on the phone and get him to get a good word in with somebody at Amazon so that I could buy this.
Amazon would have to put it for sale.
That's not going to happen.
The reality is they probably get a massive tax write-off explicitly for canning them like this.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know. But like...
I don't know for certain. This is pure speculation. But you know how there was like that Discovery Channel shenanigans where they took a lot of their projects that were actively working, completely canceled them, and explicitly said that they will never see the light of day?
Oh my gosh.
That last part is part of how they get the tax write-off for them. Because if you release any part of it, if you release it at all, if it ever makes $1, then they are no longer allowed to use the loss as a tax write-off. So maybe the whole point of deleting this website from the internet is one way that Amazon gets to count it as a loss. I don't know for certain. 100% speculation.
I mean, I think back when Amazon
either
first
way,
bought
that just
it,
sucks.
Like the people who were running DP Review probably thought, oh, Amazon's probably going to start trying to push like a sales platform for the gear that we talk about in all of our, in all of our news, right? Like you've seen it. You go to a review website about anything and there's embedded like referral links to go purchase XYZ thing from Amazon, from, B&P, like whoever. But it's like, this is just, it's all going away. The worst thing is that the tools are going away too. Like even if someone tries to archive like just the educational materials, the tools are going away. Like the active like video and photo device comparison tool is going away. Like there was a fairly extensive database of like photos for comparison between two kinds of cameras. And it was so educational. I loved that. And it was always there for me. And now it's going to be gone.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it when just things disappear from the internet intentionally. You know what I mean? And I feel like this is something that's becoming a little bit more common. So this is a completely different field of entertainment, away from camera and photography reviews. This behavior, for whatever reason, is really common among VTubers.
Oh?
Yes.
Actually, I hadn't noticed.
So in VTuber culture, there's this thing called graduation.
I do know
where
of that.
A VTuber is no longer going to be streaming or no longer going to be producing content, basically, when they're quitting the thing. And for any kind of corporate VTuber, so those from like HoloLive, Niji Sanji, any of them that have some kind of company backing, I don't quite understand why this is. When they have the option, they have the choice, there's nothing wrong with leaving the YouTube channel there. They almost always delete the YouTube channels, delete the Twitter channels, or private them, make them unlisted.
Wow.
And
they just evaporate.
Part of what I've been explained is that it is a part of like Japanese culture to embrace the impermanence of things and let things be deleted. But me, a cultured data hoarder, says that's bullshit. Fuck that noise.
Man, like, okay, I couldn't imagine a world where I couldn't go and look up like old Monty Ohm animations.
Yeah.
I don't want that to go away.
You can find stuff on the internet from the 90s. In fact, it wasn't until Space Jam 2 got announced that the original Space Jam website got repurposed for it. The spacejam.com website was the exact same website from like 1998 or whatever it was up until like 2 years ago.
Damn.
And
that's
it
pretty
was
awesome.
it was so deliciously 90s.
Wow.
It was so Web 1.0. I loved it. It was so charming.
And like I know that I suspect like there's going to be a lot of internet time machine caching of things from dpreview.com, but it's just not going to be the same.
No, it's not the same. When you have to go to like Web Archive, or if you fire up a web scraper and download your own archive of it, it's not the same. And it kind of sucks because like you know it's never going to change. You know it's all old information, even if the information is valuable. Even if it's entertaining.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad. It is.
And like the thing is I think even with Internet Time Machine, you can't search the website the way that you used to be able to. You can't like enter in some keywords and use the same website search engine that it used to run on.
Exactly.
You have to know specific pages that you want to go to. And that also, you know, defeats the purpose, because sometimes you go to whatever model of, for example, like a Fuji camera, that it's mentioned in a bunch of different comparison articles, like, you know, old-fashioned journalism. This model was mentioned, you know, in comparison to this or that, or maybe it got like a spotlight. You can't just enter keywords in and search it up anymore because those pages are gone.
Yeah.
They're stored in an archive, and if you don't know the explicit page you want to actually go to, you can't just go to it.
Yeah.
You don't get that network of like connection, that network of, oh, this was mentioned here, there's a keyword here that maybe you're interested in. It's all gone. It's just mega sad for me. This was such a part of my like photography hobby, my identity there. And it's gone. It's gonna be gone.
It is by no exaggeration a core input of who you are today.
Yeah. It is
Yes.
really sad. Like the hosts that were most commonly, you know, like seen on the DP review videos, they're moving on to Petapixel, which is great because they can continue doing what they're really great at. And they are local here. I think I've actually accidentally come across them before, because you always recognize locations where they're shooting like their videography comparison videos, for example. And you're like, oh, I know them. I'm going to stay over here because I don't want to get in their way.
You should go bug them sometimes and tell them, hey, you should run a cosplay photography panel at Otafest. Have you heard of it before?
Oh my gosh. You know what? They'd be so popular because there are so many hobby photographer and videographers at Otafest.
Like I can think of more hobby photographers than I have on my fingers. Mm-hmm. Like I just there's so many of them. They would pack a room. They would. Yeah.
Like, gosh, it's just such a huge loss, and the implications of what it would be like, you know, if it was any other kind of journalism that was owned by a big company like Amazon that just decided to scrap them. Like, could you imagine?
I blame Jeff Bezos and his bald head for this.
I blame someone. I don't know who, but it's really, really just me trying to sort through my feelings and reaching some kind of a state of acceptance that this is happening. But I haven't gotten there yet. Like, this news is still very fresh to me, and I just want to thank Angelo for listening to me rant about it.
I thank you for listening to rant about my computer problems.
Which I can totally relate to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you know what else I can really relate to?
The end of an episode.
Looking forward to next week's episode. Exactly. With that,
yes,
we'll be back next week, and Jay will probably be back if we can break him out of his trunk.
We'll drag him out of whatever cave he's thrown himself into.
Indeed.
Bye.
Bye-bye.